So this is me. I am an HSST in microbiology, but obviously before I was an HSST, I was a lot of other things. First and foremost, I'm an individual, as all HSSTs are, and I love to run, cycle, play sport, anything that's outdoors and that allows me to keep fit. And healthy, I really enjoy. So that's just a picture of me running across the mountain that's behind my house on a beautiful sunrise. I'm also a father, a husband, and a father to 6 children, along with my wife. And so we have our hands full outside of work and outside of HSST. But they're a fantastically supportive family, just in the same way as Philippa's husband and children are supportive of her. So are mine, and I'm really grateful for them. My journey within microbiology started when I did my biomedical scientist degree, and I qualified as a biomedical scientist in 2003. I then went on to do some research, molecular diagnostic research, for a couple of years as I was trying to find exactly what I wanted to do. And I found that niche that I really enjoyed then in clinical sciences. And I was a trainee between 2005 and 2009, again, specializing in molecular diagnostics. And then I worked for 6 or 7 years as a molecular diagnostics specialist in the molecular unit here in Public Health Wales, microbiology, before I then moved to the UK Anaerobe Reference Unit, where I've been working since 2015. And so, different to Philippa, I am an in-service higher specialist scientist trainee, which comes with different challenges, but also different advantages and benefits as well. So it's, I think it's useful to you that you've had a presentation from Philippa and a presentation from me today, because it is similar but different. So if I was to give anyone one piece of advice in relation to HSST when they were starting out, and really at any time during their HSST, I think it would be, don't panic. Take it one step at a time, one day at a time. Certainly at the beginning, it can be quite daunting. You learn about the declin psi and the A, B, and C units, and certainly for myself and for my trainee, 2 trainees, my workplace trainee supervisor and my clinical supervisor, when we all went to that first meeting and started hearing all these things about ABCs, declin psis, and SOPs, we were a little bit confused, it would be fair to say. And so as a trainer, don't be afraid that that you don't know or that they don't know. It's something that will come as you just work through it together. One of the first things, obviously, that that may pop into a trainee's mind is, oh my goodness, I've got a doctorate degree that I have to get through here. I better start thinking about my project. Panicking about my project. What am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do. What's going to happen? One of the other big pieces of advice I would say is don't worry about the project. Probably, I mean, certainly think about it and try and look for opportunities, but you don't have to worry about that for the good first or even into the second year. Things will distill over time and opportunities will arise that will just seem like, if you don't already have an idea at the beginning of your HSST, projects that can turn into really, really good and worthwhile doctorate level projects. As I say, there's a lot of jargon, SOP, one file, one drive, all these sorts of things that are similar to each other, and they may confuse, but they're things that you will learn and be familiar with over time. I would certainly say at the beginning of the HSST and frequently throughout, certainly for me, I do ask myself the question, can I cope with this? Can I do this? I'm coming to the end of my 3rd year now, and thus far I think been pretty successful, passed all the A units, passed my part 1, doing pretty well in my project, getting there with the evidence for my one file submissions for the standards of proficiency. But still, as Philippa alluded to, from time to time, you do kind of think, wow, is this all a bit much? It is a big commitment. It's a huge investment and at times sacrifice. but it's worthwhile. And it's at times like that where you've just got to pause, take a breather, and just say, it's okay, it's another day tomorrow. I can do this, and just keep going. So, will you ever see your friends, family, and colleagues again in the next 5 years? Well, you certainly should be. And if at any point in time your trainee is not, if it looks as if their work-life balance is going a little bit skew, please don't be afraid to say, come on, there is more to life than HSST. This is my workplace supervisor, Mr. Trevor Morris. He's the head of the UK reference unit, and he has 2 children, as you can see there in their kitchen. He's been a great help to me as well, and I'm sure you will all be to your trainees too. Effectively, we work as a team along with the clinical supervisor as well. And he really helps me to put things into perspective, and to realize what's of most importance, which is obviously our family and our well-being, but also then helps to guide me on a week-to-week basis on where I should be focusing my priorities. He's very gentle and kind with me. At times he does have to readjust my focus and realign me with some priorities, but that's fine. We're working together as a team, and it's just really, really good working with him. Certainly pace is important, and I think that was something that my supervisors sort of learnt along with me at the same time over the first couple of years. There is that sort of, you look at the standards of proficiency and you think, oh my goodness, there's so much to cover there. And at first you might think, okay, let's get on this, let's get this, done. But again, remember, you've got 5 years, and these things do come over time. So make sure that the pacing is right for your trainee. As Philippa said, rushing this is not a good idea. I mean, I don't think you can properly. If you're going to do this properly, you can't rush through it. That's why you're given 5 years, because this is what it's going to take. And as Philippa said, meet regularly with trainees, make that plan. But again, as Philippa said, make sure that there is some flexibility in there, because you never know what might happen. Hopefully not another pandemic, but other things happen as well. So my experience so far, there's a picture there of me actually in France, probably around about 1998. You've got Notre Dame de la Garde at the top of the hill there, which is a very beautiful cathedral at the top of Marseille. And I included that picture because when I was in France, I went there on a mission for my church, not knowing any French, apart from maybe bonjour. But it took me probably about 3 months to really get my grounding, and even to start understanding what people were saying. And I felt a little bit like that with the HSST. It probably took me 3 to 6 months to start to feel like I knew what I was doing. And that's okay. It's new for your trainees. It's new for you. So don't panic about that, and just have confidence that if this person has got through the HSST interview, they are at a level where they will very quickly get to grips with what's going on, and just give them that confidence that it's okay, it will come, and it is coming. Things definitely distill during that first year, and then into the second year as well. Certainly in the second year, you start to think, oh no, I really do know what I'm talking about and where I'm heading. But it does take a little bit of a while. Definitely get stuck in. Help your trainee to not have too many opportunities, because you don't want to overwhelm them, but make sure that they are exploring new avenues. As Philippa said, looking to collaborate with different teams outside of their normal work environment. It's really important that they, put themselves outside their comfort zones, and sometimes you'll need to put them outside of their comfort zones. I chaired a meeting this morning, an all Wales meeting, looking at C. diff infection. And I have to say, even now, in my 3rd year, I was a little bit nervous before that meeting. But by the end of the meeting, I had a chat with my supervisor at the end of the meeting, and we were both really, really pleased with it. And probably thinking back 3 years now, if you'd have said you're going to chair that meeting, I would have been a lot more nervous than I was. So help them to find these opportunities as they develop at the right time for them. and yeah, just help them to get stuck in. Opportunities really are all around, but you do need to look for them and sometimes think laterally. Despair to destiny in terms of part one. I put that in there pretty much because after my part one, I thought it went terribly, and my supervisor was there to comfort me and to tell me that it probably was going to be okay. And it turned out that it was. I did pass, but yeah. So at times you may need to console your trainees when they feel maybe things aren't going that well. But those words of comfort and of confidence will really help them to get through. And after having found out that I'd passed the part one, I was like, oh wow, maybe it didn't go as bad as I thought it had, which generally things don't, do they? So the declin sci really is a whole new world. It's social science, effectively, which will be very, very new to a lot of the trainees. It certainly was to me. When I, found out that I was able to quote myself and I didn't have to provide a reference, I was like, what? My opinion matters? This is incredible. What about evidence? What about so yeah, the declin sci is very different. It is actually wonderful, I have to say. I've really, really enjoyed it. It's very, very high quality teaching, excellent lecturers, and assignments that you're asked to do. Those assignments are brilliant in that they help um, you as a trainee, but they also almost all of my assignments, I would say, have also benefited my department because I have based them on the work that I do within the department. So it really is excellent. I would say as a word of advice, make sure that your trainee keeps on top of their emails, get them to link their Manchester University emails to their work emails, because otherwise it is very easy to miss things. And I would say probably in my first year, I didn't do that. And yeah, let's just say things were a bit close at times because of that. So get them to link those up to their work emails and it makes things a lot easier. Definitely please make sure that your trainees get the study days that they need and that they should have. They should have one a week. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to take one every week. I will often take a group of study days together to help me to accomplish an assignment or to work on a particular project. But it is important that they get those study days. Yes, they should be working on things to a certain degree within their own time, and I certainly do that as I'm coming up to deadlines and things like that. But as part of the training, that is stipulated that they should get those 52 study days a year. So please make sure that they get those and that those are protected time. Overall, I would just say that the declin sci is, all of those words there that I've used: fascinating, challenging, insightful, enjoyable, and just excellent. It's a great opportunity for your trainees and for your departments that they're working in. RC Path, then, just a word to that. Definitely the most challenging exam I have ever taken. So, please encourage your trainees to start their preparation early. Very, very important. As my clinical supervisor said to me, he's one of the people who sort of, helps with the RC Path exams. He said that we like to put the clinical into clinical microbiology. And so as a scientist coming into that, I was, yeah, probably stupidly, but somewhat amazed at how clinical those exams are, or at least the part one was, and I'm sure the part two even more so. So yeah, it's definitely something really important to have a clinical supervisor and to get that mentoring and that insight from them. I would say as well, obviously Philip has said, get yourself some good textbooks. Very, very important that you have access to good textbooks. But I would also say, to pass part one comfortably, don't just look at textbooks, look at guidelines. You need more than just a textbook if you want to be in a good position to pass that part one. And yeah, I would say try and take the exam if possible before the end of year two. Because if you push it later than that, then you may be struggling with retakes and confidence, etc. So get it in early so that if there does need to be a retake, then that can not delay things too much. So these standards of proficiency, as Stuart showed us a lot about in the one file. Certainly the best way to eat an elephant, and the standards of proficiency are a very large elephant. Again, when you look at them initially at the beginning of the training, you think, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to be able to do that? Even in 5 years, surely I need 50 years for all of that. But no, like with everything, if you take it one bite at a time, one standard at a time, then it's quite possible. And I think you and your trainees will be surprised at how you know, different discrete pieces of work can help to fulfill quite a few of the standards in one fell swoop. So certainly doable, but something that you need to plan. Yeah, focus on all of the domains. Don't think, oh, that domain's not really that important, or trainee maybe not as keen on a domain, so they might leave it till the end. I think if you do leave any of the domains until the end, you may really struggle to get the evidence that you need for that domain. So you can't work on everything all at once, but make sure that the plan is helping the trainee to make progress towards fulfilling those standards in each of the domains throughout the years. I found the multi-source feedback really, really useful. And I know it's not, you don't have to do it within the HSST like you do in the STP, but really, really valuable. So I would suggest, trainees at least every other year, if not every year, take advantage of that MSF feedback, because it really is useful. Yeah, just help them to stretch themselves and to put themselves into positions like I did earlier today, with the encouragement of my supervisor to do things that may take a little bit of bravery, but really great opportunities. So finally, there's a really good quote there from George Burgle in HSST in genetics. And I fully agree with that. I would highly recommend the HSST, and just say, help your trainees enjoy it. It will almost certainly help them to develop as an individual, professionally, but also personally as well. It does take a huge amount of hard work. So, that's a given, and it will take sacrifice. But don't complain about that. They're great opportunities. And I suppose even when, we're all inclined to complain at times. But yeah, just help your trainee to see the positive side of all of these things. As Philippa said, even during a pandemic, we can take positives. So they and you will need to help to make things happen. This isn't going to just fall on their plates. These opportunities don't just arrive. You're going to have to go out and be, somewhat assertive. But it is an amazing opportunity. I feel at the end of the HSST that really, the world will be their oyster. The opportunities for them personally and professionally then to positively affect the health service will be huge. Yeah, be kind and patient with them, as my supervisor fantastically is. And again, coming back to where I started, yeah, make sure that yours and their health and well-being are paramount and come first. The HSST is a wonderful opportunity, but it's not life. Life is life, and it's important that and we all maintain that focus, as I think the pandemic has helped us to do. So with that, I will invite any questions.